It's finally time to seed the new lawn. Let's do it. For those of you wondering what seed I'm using the dark perennial ryegrass from the New Zealand Lawn Addicts online store. And I'm going to be seeding at a rate of 5 kgs per 100 square meters. So I'll take you guys through and show you the process that I use to seed a new lawn. And also one more thing, YouTube is telling me that at least half of the people watching this series are not subscribed to the channel. So if that's you, please consider subscribing. It helps out the channel a lot and I'd really appreciate it. And it's free. But with that said, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is to measure the area that you want to seed. And that way you can work out how much seed you will need to spread based on the application rate that you want to use. So for my example here, it's approximately 30 square meters. So I'm going to use a third of the rate, so that's roughly 1.6 kgs. The next thing I like to do is just use a rake to loosen up just the top layer of the soil. Any kind of rake will do. I just like this one here. It's got nice long tines. And make sure you stay to the end, and as I'll put some footage of the seed growing in over the sort of 2-week period since the seed going down. Then you can go ahead and weigh out your seed based on your measurements and your application rate. I would recommend just checking that your scales are accurate, as I realized later on that mine were a bit dodgy, so I ended up putting out more seed than I wanted to. So then you just need to spread the seed. So there's a few different ways you could do it. You could just throw it out by hand. You could sprinkle it around. You could use a handheld spreader. But personally, I like to use the drop spreader like these. It's a lot more accurate, and I just like to run it on quite a low setting, and you can go up and down, side to side. Doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as you get the right amount of seed spread evenly across the area. I just find with the drop spreader it's a lot easier. You don't seem to get as much in the garden beds or places where you don't want it. And then what I like to do is just go over it again with the rake. You just use hardly any pressure at all. You're just trying to mix that seed into the soil. I like to do a zigzag type pattern and go over it one way and then come back the other way. I find that works quite well. And then it's basically just a matter of watering it. So I might make another video about watering seed, but generally you just want to try and keep it moist as much as you can. So in my situation here, I'm just running the sprinklers for about 2 to 3 minutes, sort of every 2 to 3 hours at the moment. As usual, what ended up happening with the seeding is we get a ton of rain as soon as the seed goes down. So you'll see in the pictures, in the videos coming up, that had a bit of a washout, but that's always seems to happen when you do a seeding job. So this picture here is from about 4 days after seeding, and you can just start to see some green tips coming through. And then we've got a picture here from 2 days after that, so 6 days later. This is where I had a lot of washout in the corner. Now we've got a week later, and this is 8 days. And so this footage here is 10 days since putting the seed down. So as usual, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, please give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.